name is Gunter Dufey. I taught at many universities and teach currently part-time executive programs at NTU. The currency war is largely a matter for the journalists who don't understand always, because it is not easy to weaponize currencies. You can do it only in two ways. First of all, if you have exchange controls, then you can influence the value of your currency to a certain extent. But even that is not easy, as the Chinese find out. The other one is weaponizing, or currency war, is in terms of the US currency. The dollar has such a dominant position in the world payment system that everybody has to rely on the dollar, and the US can use that position of imposing its will on certain things, for example, embargoes or other things on other entities, on other countries, by potentially limiting access to the US dollar system. And there's not an easy alternative. So basically, those are the two reasons where you can talk about a currency war. Otherwise, it's largely the imagination of journalists. It's a nice headline. Actually, they're talking about, only vaguely about having plans. It's wishful thinking. In concrete terms, they can create, and are in the process of creating, an internal clearing system for payments in euros with countries like Iran that are on the penalty list of the US to escape the influence of the US through the dollar. That will work, but to a very limited extent, because the in-payments and out-payments have to match exactly every day, and that's difficult to achieve. So it makes a marginal improvement. Unfortunately for me, I like competition in the markets. It won't do the trick. The other thing, of course, is that things like Brexit, or problems with Italy, or problems with other member countries, as we had in the past with Greece, do not help to strengthen the euro. And so they have to, for example, they could improve the European financial markets, the European tax system as it affects financial markets. So there a few things could be done to strengthen the international role of the euro, because the RMB is not convertible. In other words, you or I or a company is not free to open an account in China and simply make payments or receive payments there. Everything I have to have a thing. So when the RMB was very strong, a lot of people wanted to have RMB assets, but those were, since they couldn't go into China, they had to open those RMB assets outside of China, for example, in Singapore. But the Singapore banks who accept RMB, they have a great difficulties clearing their RMB payments, because on any given day, when the RMB in payments and out payments don't match up, they have to go to China to clear the amount, and this is difficult. And therefore, there's always, you think of it as a water pipe, which is too small for the water, and this is why you have a rate outside and inside, the CNY and the CNH, which are every day, they differ a little bit. If the Europeans play it smart, they can marginally increase the role of the euro, and I hope they will do, but one should not expect too much of it. As a matter of fact, as we saw in the reserve holdings, the role of the euro has gone down. And of course, things like Brexit, or the problems of member countries, when people talk about leaving the euro, that's not helpful. So basically, it'll be an uphill battle. But it can be done theoretically. Medium autumn, I think we will manage muddling through, I would say. The markets some of the growth is gone, partially because China will grow much slower than they have in the past. Everybody is fully employed. Where are the sources of growth? There aren't any. So developed countries like Western Europe, US, Singapore, if they're lucky, they will grow by 2%, which is roughly the increase in productivity. Emerging markets, if they get their internal policies right, they can still grow larger. China, obviously, but China is going down. Basically, the way to get growth rates is by taking people from low productivity employment, like low-level agriculture, and put them into factories. And then you get huge growth rates. But you can do that only so long, right? And ultimately it depends on your policies, to a certain extent on immigration. The reason why the US is doing a little bit better than Europe in terms of growth is because of the immigration, and not the people who are swimming across the southern thing where with the wall, all the thing is. The biggest group of immigrants that might be interesting for your thing in the US is Asian students from different parts of Asia who are graduating from American universities. 45% of all immigrants in the US during the last 10 years belong to that category. And that, of course, is a great plus for the growth of the US. So if the Europeans want to have a summit, make sure that you have high quality immigrants.